Welcome to Mr. Chalk's Revision Tips. In this video we will look at natural selection, mutations and antibiotic resistance. So the first person that explains evolution and natural selection was Charles Darwin, and he proposed it by natural selection. So we will look in a bit more detail at what natural selection is. We will look at how mutations can change or lead to a change in the DNA sequence, and we'll look at how these two factors bring about the evolution of antibiotic resistant bacteria. So natural selection is the differential survival and reproduction of individuals due in differences in phenotype. It is the key mechanism of evolution and the change in heritable traits, characteristics of populations over a series of generations. So the way this happens is that within the species there is a wide range of variation. This variation is because of slight changes in genes. Individuals with characteristics most suited to the environment are more likely to survive and reproduce. So the genes that allow individuals to be successful are passed on to their offspring. So individuals that are poorly adapted will die off, which means that their genes will not be passed on. Gene mutations occur in single genes or sections of DNA, whereas chromosome mutations affect the whole chromosome or a number of chromosomes within a cell. They can also be caused by mutagens and normally occur during meiosis. So changes in the chromosome structure can include deletion, which is a section of the chromosome is broken off and is lost. Duplication is where a section of the chromosome is duplicated more than once. Translocation, so a section of one chromosome breaks off and joins another non-homogeneous chromosome. And inversion, so a section of the chromosome breaks off and is reversed, then joins onto another chromosome. You can also get nucleotides being inserted into the DNA and nucleotides being substituted. Most mutations will not be beneficial, but a few of them are, and it's the few that are that help lead to evolution. Antibiotic resistance occurs when a bacteria change in response to the use of medicines, so antibiotics. Bacteria, not humans or animals, become antibiotic resistant. These bacteria may infect humans and animals, and the infections can cause harder to treat than normal infections because we can no longer treat them with antibiotics because the bacteria are resistant to them. So the way this occurs is that random mutations occur in the DNA in individual bacterial cells. The mutation protects the bacterial cell from the effects of the antibiotic, so that one bacteria becomes resistant. So the bacteria without the mutation die off when the antibiotic is present. So the antibiotic resistant bacteria survive and can reproduce with less competition from the non-resistant bacterial strains. So the genes for the antibiotic resistance are passed on to the bacteria's offspring. And over time, the whole population of bacteria become antibiotic resistant because the antibiotic resistant bacteria are best suited to that particular environment. So the places where these antibiotic resistant bacteria occur most often, places like hospitals where there is constantly a higher concentration of antibiotics. So if we wanted to look at this question, so bacteria may become resistant to antibiotics. How can doctors reduce the number of bacteria that become resistant to antibiotics? So some of the things that you might want to include is to reduce the amount of antibiotics that are being used, or don't use antibiotics for mild infections and definitely not viral infections. Penicillin is an antibiotic which stops bacteria from reproducing. It was used a lot in the past to treat bacterial infections in humans and animals. In many hospitals, there are now strains of penicillin-resistant bacteria. So explain how natural selection could have produced these. So some of the things that you might want to include in that answer would be things like a mutation would occur that gives it resistance to penicillin. So some of the bacteria survive the penicillin. So the survivors can reproduce or multiply. They're reproducing by asexual reproduction or cloning. So the gene for the resistance is then passed on to the bacteria's offspring.
Thanks for watching.